road to the Super Bowl is long and pointless. I mean, what do you think about it?
Super Bowl, please, and step on it.
I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be.
Welcome to the show. You're one-on-one with Wes the Sports Guy here on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey, and online all the time at westhesportsguy.com. Make sure you bookmark that site to get to my written preview of Super Bowl 57. All my social media links, the podcast link, leave a 5-star review if you like what you're listening to on all the various podcast platforms. You can get that link conveniently located for you at westhesportsguy.com. Also, make sure that when you wake up on Super Bowl Sunday, you get some Coffee Brand coffee, either some delicious blueberry cobbler, salted caramel, all their original roasts. Make sure you go to coffeebrandcoffee.com, use that promo code OneOnOneWes to save some money at checkout on your first recurring purchase, or also with your tea and cocoa purchases. Make sure you use the promo code OneOnOneWes or click the link in the description below of this video and save yourself some money on coffee, tea, or cocoa at coffeebrandcoffee.com. Jumping right into it, it is my preview of Super Bowl 57 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles.
You play to win the game, but they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it.
Now you might be thinking, how can I, a 49er fan, be giving an objective Super Bowl preview between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles? Well, for one, my name is Wes the Sports Guy. It's not Wes the 49ers fan, because if that was the case, I'd be talking about the 49ers constantly, all the time. But that's not the case. I am Wes the Sports Guy. Also, you could see that, I've got that Primo Bobby Boucher jersey here in the back to sort of show my impartiality with this preview, but alas, I digress. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be playing against each other here this Sunday in Glendale, Arizona for Super Bowl 57. And I'm just going to be breaking down some really quick and precise moments or players of the game, you should say. Also just kind of going over the coaches a little bit and giving you my ultimate prediction of who I think will win and be the MVP. Going into the head coaches, we'll start with Nick Sirianni of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, he has definitely implemented a very unique and a very let's just say vaunted offensive system that is predicated around the quarterback play of Jalen Hurts, who has done a very good job this season. Damn near an MVP winner. Lost out to Patrick Mahomes, who won the MVP just a few days ago in the NFL honor ceremony, which if you watched, great. If you didn't, hey, I just waited for the announcement of whoever won the award. That's pretty much how I go about with these award ceremonies, the way they're being played out this day and age, but I digress about that. Anyway, Jalen Hurts. He definitely is a very big focal point of this offense, with the threat of also running and having designed runs going with the way this offensive system is set up. But they also are centered around an elite offensive line, which from top to bottom is as good as it gets in the NFL, which is something you're definitely going to need if you want to protect your quarterback. No matter what era you play in the NFL, you got to protect your quarterback at all times. But this is predicated on an offensive scheme that heavily involves the running game, which involves running backs Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and Kenneth Gainwell, who've played integral parts for much of the season, including the playoffs, where Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell have also contributed pretty much in a good chunk of this run for the Eagles here, where they've played the New York Giants and the San Francisco 49ers previously in the NFC title game between those two teams. But also you have a very good dynamic passing attack with wide receivers A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, tight end Dallas Goedert. It is a very stacked offensive system that not many teams have been able to figure out. They did lose 3 games during the regular season, albeit 2 of them were without their quarterback Jalen Hurts, who did not play in the 2 of those 3 losses. But everybody looks at the one where they lost to the Washington Commanders and says that's something that the Kansas City Chiefs should be looking at on the film study here, with almost 2 full weeks of prep before this game gets underway. And on the defensive side for the Eagles, Nothing more needs to be said other than, hey, they led the entire league with sacks, with 70 sacks total on the season. They had 4 guys get at least 11 sacks on the year. Hassan Reddick, Javon Hargrave, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham. Those are the 4 big names. Oh, and by the way, they also have Fletcher Cox, who added 7 sacks in the regular season. Plenty more names that you can throw into that depth package that they have on the pass rushing scheme, where they can rotate guys in constantly for every play of the opposing offense's possession. It's as stacked as you can get. I haven't seen one like this in quite some time. You could also maybe do a direct comparison between this Eagles team and the way that Eagles defensive line was set up against the New England Patriots when the Eagles won their first and only Super Bowl title not that long ago. It wasn't ancient history. I believe it was in the past 5 years. I think the 2018 season. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave a comment below if you think I'm wrong about that, and fact check me, please. By all means do. But also the secondary is an underrated part of this defense for the Eagles, as they come into this with a lot of playmakers, with the cornerbacks, Darius Slay, James Bradbury, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You also have Avonte Maddox and Marcus Epps, 2 stalwarts and just scrappy players there in the back end that can play just about anywhere on the field, either in center field or they can play in the box against the run. And they might have to with the Kansas City Chiefs and what they can throw at Philadelphia and their vaunted defense. For the Chiefs, it's head coach Andy Reid coming back to try to win his 2nd Super Bowl of his entire career, and also the 2nd with the Kansas City Chiefs. For the Chiefs, they boast the MVP of the league, quarterback Patrick Mahomes. He is playing with a severely sprained ankle, albeit it didn't look like it was much of a sprained ankle against the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC title game. We all know how that ended, but suffice it to say, I'm still surprised Patrick Mahomes played like he did, scrambling as much as he did with the sprained ankle and being as effective as he was. It was a complete 180 from last year's AFC title game where Mahomes just threw duds in the second half of that game, whereas opposed to this year, he was just about as perfect as you can get for a guy that did have a bum ankle in that game. So it'll be interesting to see if the pressure is amped up quite a bit more with the Eagles, as I mentioned, with their pass rush depth, if they can get Mahomes scrambling more than he wants to, being on that sprained ankle, and whether or not they actually put him down on his backside, albeit without any roughing the passer penalties. Mind you, we'll see how that goes with the NFL. Different topic for another day. Let's find out if the Kansas City Chiefs offense, with the weapons that are at their disposal, granted they don't have Tyreek Hill, he was traded in the offseason, but it seemed to still work out for the Chiefs. They only had 3 losses in the regular season, just like the Philadelphia Eagles. They got their one questionable loss out of the way early against the Indianapolis Colts, but they rectified that, and they've had some new faces that you can say you didn't expect to be at the forefront of the offense. 2 of them being running back Isaiah Pacheco, a 7th-round pick. He is all over the place, not just rushing the ball with effectiveness, but also a tremendous pass catcher, running routes out of the backfield. Jerick McKinnon has stayed healthy the entire year, and he's been an integral part in the passing game, especially on 3rd downs, as a huge safety net for Patrick Mahomes when the defense actually has all the receivers covered. They forget about Jerick McKinnon, and he's usually open a lot of times coming out of the backfield. For the receivers, I, for one, cannot understand how Travis Kelce has been that wide open in 2 playoff games so far. He has had 3 touchdown catches in the 2 games played, 21 catches. It's just amazing to see that this guy gets that wide open still at this point in his career, where everybody knows he is the #1 target for Patrick Mahomes. But that's going to be the key for the Eagles. Are you going to be able to put Mahomes on his backside enough? And are you actually going to cover Travis Kelce? Granted, it's hard to do it for a full 60-minute game, but you have to do it early to at least have Mahomes thinking that, oh no, I can't throw it to Kelce. He's double covered, because I saw that early in the game. He was covered blanketly by the Eagles, so I can't count on that safety net. I have to go somewhere else. So that's going to be the key for the Eagles. Covering Travis Kelce, and then as a side note, getting Mahomes on his backside. And the key for Kansas City is what can you do to disrupt Jalen Hurts? Not so much to the point of like with Mahomes, where there's a clear injury. Yes, Jalen Hurts did have a shoulder issue, but for the Chiefs, it's you have to contain the rushing attack and make Jalen Hurts have to either make an errant throw or be indecisive about whether or not he's going to hand the ball off to a running back in a read option type of play or RPO type of scenario. forced Jalen Hurts into making a decision that might and would end up being a turnover. So for Kansas City's defense, cause turnovers. Make sure the Eagles' defense is tired by the end of this game, and you should be successful because, as we've seen many times throughout Patrick Mahomes' career, granted only having 1 Super Bowl so far, he's been in 2, now 3 of them. If Patrick Mahomes is not on the field as early and often and scoring points in bunches like we've seen him do, this will be a Kansas City victory if the Eagles are losing that turnover battle. Because normally, they're the ones forcing the turnovers. But if Kansas City happens to force a couple turnovers, especially ones early, this could be a disaster for the Eagles. So Kansas City, force the turnovers, you'll most likely be hoisting a Lombardi trophy. Finally, who do I think is going to win this game? Well, being as impartial as it could possibly be, the Philadelphia Eagles, yes, they've been one of the best, if not the best team throughout most of the season in the entire NFL. They had a pretty easy run of it in the NFC, and this is definitely going to be the biggest test. Obviously, with the Super Bowl, everybody expects it to be a great game. 2 number 1 seeds from the AFC and the NFC with Kansas City. They've been a very, very good team all season long. They did have 2 big losses to Buffalo and Cincinnati, but they did get that revenge game against Cincinnati in the AFC title game previously, just before this Super Bowl. Ultimately, I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be hoisting that Lombardi trophy for the 3rd time in their franchise's history, with Patrick Mahomes not only being the MVP of the NFL season, but also being the MVP of this Super Bowl, throwing 3 touchdown passes, and he will be throwing 2 of them, no, not to Travis Kelce, to Marquez Valdes-Scantling. 2 of those 3 touchdown passes to that guy who they got in the offseason from formerly the Green Bay Packers, which I'm sure a lot of Packer fans are not going to like hearing that, but that is what I think will happen. And also, hey, by the way, there's 2 brothers playing in the Super Bowl, Travis Kelce of Kansas City and Jason for the Philadelphia Eagles. If you don't already know that, by now that's been beaten to death as much as possible. But again, I digress. That's who I think is going to win Super Bowl 57. Leave a comment below. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles? Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell below to get notified when all the latest videos are posted on this channel, whether it be at YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, or Odyssey. Bookmark westofsportsguy.com for my previews, my recaps. Also, when the Super Bowl is done, you will get that Super Bowl recap where I will give an in-depth analysis of what happened in this game in case you missed it. Find my social media links at westofsportsguy.com, podcast link. And also, if you want to get some delicious coffee, tea, or cocoa, go to coffeebrandcoffee.com, use that promo code OneOnOneWest, or click the link in the description below. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and I will see you next time.